No doubt this is one of the biggest derbies in English football, but as the gap between the two grows, has the fixture lost its glamour a little bit? Pep Guardiola doesn't think so.
Have been good seasons with Jose Mourinho, one season with Ole, have done second fighting, not until till the end, but they were there. So when I learned my experience in this type of games, more calm, relaxed, don't talk much about many things, just focus in tactic issue, what you have to do to beat them. Not about emotional, because the emotional will be there without a doubt.
Okay, so joining us right now to look ahead to this huge game, I'm delighted to say it's broadcaster and huge Manchester City fan, Natalie Pike. Natalie, good morning. How are you?
Natalie.
Good morning. Morning. Do you know what? I've woken up and when I go, oh, it's derby day, then my stomach starts to jump.
Oh, yes, I know. And we can all feel those feelings when it's one of your local rivals that you're taking on. The pressure is on a little bit, but bear in mind Liverpool's late winner yesterday. How are you feeling then, apart from the nerves just surrounding the fact it's a derby, but the fact that you've got to claw back Liverpool's little lead that they have already?
Yeah, I think we all expected Liverpool to win yesterday. I don't think we expected it to be as tight as it was, but we expected them to win. So I always thought we'd be going into this game with this 4-point gap, always knowing we needed to win this game before we go to Anfield next week, always knowing we need to win at Anfield to go ahead of them in the league. So kind of nothing's changed for me on kind of that side.
Natalie, the truth of the matter is that, when Pep was talking about Manchester United and the relevance of the derby and how important it all is, it feels like to me, Man City are now what Man United used to be, and Man United are what used to be Manchester City, because City dominate, have all the better players nearly in every position. You look, if you were going to do a composite between the two teams, it would be very hard to make a case for one Man United player being in that team. Is that exactly where we are now?
Yeah, I think that's exactly where we are. And when you say it, it takes me back to school when I was a City fan in high school, and there was a very small amount of us, maybe 4 or 5 of us in the whole year, and that's in Greater Manchester. And, they were doing everything that we are doing now. And I never, ever dreamt that the tables might turn. And I think that is why, for me and all City fans, the glamour will never go from the derby for us, because we remember what it was like to be on the reverse, and we remember what it was like to get the stick and to have to go into school on Monday knowing we'd been thumped by them again. Like, the highlight of my childhood is when we got a draw with them at Old Trafford. So yeah, I think it's definitely that now, which is just wonderful, isn't it?
Tell us what it is about Manchester City, in the sense that the last few seasons it feels as though they haven't been losing games at the start of a season, but they've been a little bit slower. They've taken their time to sort of build, and then they just seem to hit the right gear when needed in the business end of a season. I mean, I imagine it's exciting to be a City fan in that sense, but why is it that they always tend to be so much stronger in the second half and maybe not as impactful in the first half of a season?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think the answer. I don't know what the answer is, but what I can say though is yes, it's exciting, but at the same time, I have said to a couple of my friends, sort of around Christmas time, what if we don't do it this year? What if we don't go on the mad run this year that we always do? But then, we're in the middle of the mad run right now, so again, we do it. I think a lot of credit obviously has to go to, so much of the credit always go to Pep Guardiola, his backroom staff, his medical team, the way that we're able to prepare for this point of the season when we know that, the fixture list is crazy again, but it's, it's always this way for us. We always expect to be playing 2 games a week from now on. Although I've got to tell you, my friend said to me last week, "Oh, how are you feeling? We're in the running." And I was like, it was February. Are we in the running in February?
Yeah, I know.
Natalie, it does help where you play Luton in midweek and you look at the City bench and you go Ruben Dias, Foden, Edison the goalkeeper, just to name a few, Rodri, who was on the bench as well. And I'm like, they've just got a massive squad. Say massive squad, but a squad of 20-odd players of very high quality.
Yeah, I would say it's a small squad. I always tell everybody it's a small squad, but you bang on there. It's a small squad with 4 or 5 players that sit on the bench that would probably get into most teams in the Premier League. The problem that we have is that if we pick up any injuries, which obviously we did at the start of the season, when we had Kevin De Bruyne out, Jack Grealish out, John Stones out, Erling Haaland out, all at the same time, then the size of the squad becomes really, really obvious. I mean, we were blessed at that point that we were able to bring through some of the academy players, and we started to see Oscar Bob coming through and shining. But at this part of the season, we need all the 20 of them, or even less than that. I'm going to say probably, the 16, 17 of them. We need all of them fit to go into this point of the season. And with the exception of Jack at the minute, it looks like, we're going to be doing that.
Yeah, and from as a City fan, it must be great to have seen what we saw in midweek with Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne teaming up so effectively. I mean, it just puts the fear into every other team.
And it should do. It really should do. I firmly believe that when Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne are playing like they did on Tuesday, no team in the world can beat us. And that is not an exaggeration. When Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland are at their best and they're linking up in the way that they did and they can, and we've seen them, we can beat anybody in the world.
See, Erling Haaland annoys me because all big centre forwards are meant to be a little bit cumbersome, a little bit awkward and ungainly, all them big lumps down the middle. Being 6'4" and he's quick and he's got an incredible movement. And I just think, and yes, he can be out of a game, but boy, when he needs to come into it and there's a pass on, we've even forgot how many chances he's missed in the last few games, because you take the game against Chelsea, he had probably 5 in a game, which I said to Nat, well, that ain't going to happen very often, that he misses chances like he did against Chelsea. And what does he do? He then gets 5 against Luton.
Yeah, and he's so right. He's so athletic. He's so unbelievably flexible as well. I mean, do you remember the goal in the Champions League last year when he got his leg higher than everybody else's heads? He's so unbelievably flexible. He's so agile. He's so fast. He's so strong. How do you defend against him? I hope nobody knows, because we need him to come back to the level of goal scoring that he was at this point last season to take us through to the end of the season. But the 5 goals midweek, I mean, they've really buoyed up me. They've buoyed up all the City fans that I know, to see him back at that goal scoring level where it looks like every time he gets the ball, there's going to be a goal. I mean, it's absolutely magical. Just enjoy it. Just sit back and just enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a bit weird hearing you say come back to the levels when he's already Premier League top goal scorer.
I know.
He's had 2 months off and he's had Premier League goal scorer. He's been missing for 2 months.
I know.
Natalie, 20 years ago, I'll take you back 20 years ago, Manchester City put 4 past Manchester United, but obviously that was a very different City side to the one that we're seeing now. So I sort of wonder where that one might rank as a derby memory for City fans. But also, we've got to get your take on what's going to happen today.
I am. Do you know what, Natalie? I've been so calm all week. Usually I am the worst derby person ever. I get chaotically nervous. It doesn't matter if we'd have thumped Liverpool 2 days before, I would go into a derby thinking that we're going to get beat. It's that kind of the childhood in me where that is what always happened when I was growing up. But this week I've been so strangely calm that it's now making me nervous. The irrationality is starting to come up again. But in all seriousness, I think the fact that they have so many injuries, with Haaland out, the amount of injuries that they have, they're struggling all over the park. I think bringing through some of their youngsters is actually going to benefit them in this game because, they're Mancunian kids and they'll bleed the club and all of that. So I think that'll actually help them. But they've got too many injuries. We were too on fire in the week. Kevin and Erling linking up the way that they did. I expect a comprehensive City win. And I will think back to 20 years ago and I'll think back to all of the games back then, as I always do on Derby Day, and it makes the victories now even sweeter.
Well, you'll have to suffer probably another 8-10 scissor kicks on the TV today of Rooney scoring against City.
You're right. Oh my
it's
goodness.
About 8 or 10, I reckon,
time.
you're going to see today.
Oh, hang on. How many times do we hear Aguero? We've heard those many a time as when it comes to the title race. Oh, you're quite right, Natalie. Listen, it's been great to have you with us. Thank you. Enjoy the game.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Brilliant to have Natalie Pike with us.
Weekend Sports Breakfast with Natalie Sawyer and Tony Cascarino. Sunday mornings from 6 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.